it is now officially on the record that Josh Sweat will not be traded for now, right? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. So we got a game tonight. The game really was yesterday or 2 days ago in the joint practice with the Packers. And Josh Sweat's not going to be traded, even though every single person in Green Bay with a microphone thinks he will be still. We're going to talk about it all. Donnie Druin, Cardinals on SI. Cardinals on SI is so much easier than writer for the Arizona Cardinals on Sports Illustrated. Yeah, Cardinals on SI. Dude, here's the thing. Neither of us were in Green Bay, okay? But there was palpable evidence that this team may be better than we think. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But Josh Sweat, okay, so you and I have talked countless times, both on this show and on the squad show, when you stage in there about, like, it would be, institutional failure if the Cardinals were to trade Josh Sweat now as opposed to trading him before the draft where you could have got more capital for him. It obviously rised again when he saw Jonathan Gannon on the same field. Everybody in Green Bay, like the 8 people that live in Green Bay, were like, oh, they're going to trade for Josh Sweat. It makes sense. He's off the PUP list. They wanted to show him that he's healthy, and then they're going to trade him, and then it came out yesterday. Nobody's moving Josh Sweat. So do you think that we're on a ticking time bomb until it does happen? Or is there a world where they keep him for the entirety of the season, then figure it out later?
No, I think there's absolutely a world where they keep him for the entire season. I just thought it was very interesting how Ian Rappaport shut down Josh Sweat trade room, specifically to Green Bay a little bit earlier in the summer in June. And then you have guys like John Gambardoro, who, like, I know people have opinions on him, but, like, he is, for my money, like, the most plugged in insider in the Spark-It. And then Adam Schefter, like, what arguably, like, the biggest national NFL insider. Both of those guys, within, like, a short time frame, both shut down the Josh Sweat to Green Bay trade. Granted, like, could it happen? Absolutely. Like, there's trades that happen kind of like all the time, and this wouldn't exactly materialize out of nowhere. There's a couple of dots that obviously connect Josh Sweat to Green Bay, Jonathan Gannon being one, the Packers Super Bowl window being very, very obviously open right now, and their need for another pass rusher. But, like, it's so interesting because, like, why on God's green earth would the Arizona Cardinals, before the regular season, weeks before the regular season, after not adding any outside talent to that room, a room that ranked bottom 5 in total team NFL sacks last year, trade away their best player? That is an express lane for Nick Rallis to lose his job early in 2026, and that is the fast track for Monti Ossenfort to get out of here after 2026 too. Monti Ossenfort, people forget, like, he kind of has his job on the line this year. Like, if the Cardinals have another stinker, like, he's probably gone. Why would he trade one of his best players in a year like this? It makes no sense to me. So right now I'm absolutely shutting the door on any Josh Sweat trades. That's been something that I've kind of, like, hinted at. That's something that friend of the show, Bo Brock, has hinted at from PHNX as well. I don't want to preclude any potential moves down the road, especially near the trade deadline if the Cardinals are, like, 1 and whatever, especially next offseason. Because I do believe that Josh Sweat did request a trade earlier this offseason after they fired Jonathan Gannon. I do wholeheartedly believe that. And I don't think he's exactly in love and happy with the Cardinals right now with how everything is planned out. But it just makes absolutely no sense for them to trade Josh Sweat at this moment in time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it just begs the question. If Monti Ossenfort's job was on the line, why didn't you force the issue a little bit more on defense this offseason? It just doesn't, like, for me, I think that he's got a handshake deal with Michael Bidwell, and he's got another year. Like, unless they go 2-15 and it's an absolute embarrassment, I think that the huge hedge here is, the huge training wheels is, the offense is going to be pretty good. So they're going to be in games. And then it's a matter of, okay, you figured out one side of the ball. Now you got to get the quarterback and things like that. But then they've got 150 plus. It's like, all right, well, spend 80% of that outside of, re-signing your current guys on the defense. And then you've got a Super Bowl window. Like, that's what I figure the thought process is. So with Josh Sweat, yeah, I think it's much ado about nothing. But the bottom line is, if they do move him before the trade deadline, whatever. Like, at this point, it's like, if that happens, just like Carson Beck starting, something very bad happened if they move Josh Sweat before the trade deadline. That means 1-6. That means 2-5, but not a competitive 2-5 happened. And you don't want that. So, yeah, I mean, and also Josh Sweat isn't this, like, first ballot Hall of Famer. It's like he's significantly the best pass rusher the Cardinals have. But it's like, if you lose him, it's like, okay, whatever. He's not an Arizona Cardinal. He's a hired gun. Like, he's not a guy who's going to be here long term. We thought that was going to happen last year, and then last year happened, and then everything changed. So it'll be fascinating to see. But let me ask you this with Monti Ossenfort. So this is a more interesting topic for me, and I hopefully for everybody else watching, is that's 150 plus to spend. Okay. Would you spend it? Would you give a first-time guy those reins? You're not bringing in a veteran GM. Like, a veteran GM is not going to want to GM this team. Like the devil you know, or the devil you 100% have no idea with a first-time GM handling that money. I would still choose Monty, even though on the field it hasn't been great through a couple years.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the catch-22 that the Cardinals find themselves in, because there's so much talk about like organizational continuity and the constant loop of, okay, like you hire a new head coach, but you still have a GM from the prior regime. You fire that general manager 1 or 2 years down the road, and then you still have the head coach kind of leering around from the prior regime. It's a cycle, and like I think the goal for any NFL team, Alex, is to like have that permanent continuity where you do have a head coach, you do have a general manager, both on the same timelines, both on the same page. And it hasn't quite been the case for the Arizona Cardinals in terms of just overall success. I do kind of agree with you in terms of like Monty having like a handshake deal. Like I think if I was a betting man right now, I'd probably bet on him coming back. But like you said, like stuff happens all the time. There very well is a world where like the Cardinals are bad again and the Monti Ossenfort kind of just gets canned. But like, do you want to keep restarting that process? You want to keep hitting the reset button?
Yeah.
It's at important positions such as head coach and general manager. And to your point, like you're gonna have a lot of spending power next year. Like if things go the way everybody projects them to, you're also gonna have a pretty high draft pick too. Like if there was any offseason for the Arizona Cardinals to really like put things in reverse and get going in the other direction for the better of the franchise, it's gonna be in 2027, especially with 1 year installed of Michael Floor's offense. Kind of like he gets his fingerprints on this team, kind of. It's a very, very big offseason. Like Michael Bidwell, like he's no dummy either. Like, he takes all of these things into consideration before he makes a decision. I think that's what led to Jonathan Gannon being fired last year too. I think Michael Bidwell was like, hey man, like you can't lose your last 14 out of 15. Like please win one game so I can bring you back. The players want you in the locker room. Monty really, really likes you, but like we need a reason for you to come back, and that just didn't happen. That might be trending in the same waters for Monty in 2020.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, be a great time to trade for Joe Burrow. I think it's just one of those weekends, one of those off seasons. Like I'm just throwing it into existence. Like imagine this offense with Joe Burrow, an unhappy Joe Burrow. Anyways, yeah. I agree. But the thing that kind of thwarts my brain a little bit with Monty, and then we'll pivot to the joint practice next, like on draft day, he's been praised by the majority of his draft picks. Trading back and then trading back up to get Paris. Getting an extra first, turning it to Darius Robinson, but the process was there. Everybody said Marvin Harrison Jr. was the best player in that draft, irrespective of position. You can't say, oh, I'm glad they took Marv, and then say fire Monty. You can't do both. So his process on draft day, draft weekend, has been pretty stout. I mean, getting Will Johnson in the second round, Walter Nolan dropping it to 16 in the first round, it was like, oh, great 1-2. Unbelievable. Great job, Monty. And then it's like Garrett Williams in the third. He tore his ACL. That's why he wasn't a first-round pick. He took him in the third. He's had injury concerns, but the value was there. It's like the revisionist history here, because it hasn't panned out due to injuries and otherwise, is difficult to stomach when you're like, oh, man, this is so much different than Steve Keim. So many more hits. And then it's kind of taken a little bit longer to progress. Now, what you're seeing with Marv now, it's like, okay, shut up. Just wait. This is my year for Monty is this year with the blue chip guys. That's what's going to make or break it. It's not necessarily going to be win-loss. It's Will Johnson. It's Walter Nolan. It's Garrett Williams. It's Max Melton. It's Denzel Burke. It's Marv. That's what's going to do it. If they produce and they excel a little bit, it's a little bit tardy, but if they get there, I think that's enough to keep his job.
Yeah, and the thing too is that like Monty's had some really interesting off seasons. Like this last off season, it felt like he really kind of chose to focus on upgrading the offensive side of the ball. Whereas in 2025, it was all defense. It was all defensive agency. It was all defense in the NFL draft. I think like all but one picks, and not this past draft, but the year prior in 2025, it was all on the defensive side of the ball. So he's tried to allocate resources respectively to both sides of it. Obviously, the results, at least with Jonathan Gannon leading the team, haven't been there. But I do agree. I think the process has been good. But ultimately, Alex, like we live in a world where like the process is cool, whatever, like I understand it. But like if it doesn't produce results, like the NFL, you hear it all the time, is a results-based business. And it's a business where it's like, okay, like what can you do for me? Not what have you done for me? Monty, I think people really need to take a step back look across the landscape, like hit rates are not high for general managers drafting. Like there's a reason why when you find a good player in the draft, it's considered a major win, because there's so many different variables. There's so many different ways a draft pick can develop or not develop. And so when you can find a couple really good ones in the draft class, like that's considered a big win. Like like there's not other GMs in the NFL batting 1,000. It's not other GMs in the NFL batting 500. Like the draft is very much a crapshoot every single year. And yeah, like you do have organizations like the Los Angeles Rams, for example, who are particularly good at drafting and developing, and it kind of doesn't help that they're in the division, right? But I don't think Monty is doing as bad as a job as people say, just in terms of the draft, because he's also had some like pretty good hits on day 3 of the draft since he came in 2023 as well. So it's a weird balance. It's a nuanced conversation. It's a battle that will never be won by either side. But no, I mean, it's been very interesting to see Monti Ossenfort operate the way he has, because he came in 2023, kind of hitting the Clate sling. That offseason was, hey, gut it. Like, we're tearing this thing down. We're going to try to build it up from ground zero. Right. 2024 was, okay, like we need to overpay guys to get guys here in the building. And then 2025 was, okay, we think we're going to make a playoff push. Let's really try to focus on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to trust Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing. And that's ultimately why we're here talking right now.
Yeah. You know, the off seasons have been much maligned. The Justin Jones below Nichols off season. It's like, who wanted to play for the Cardinals in 2023? Not me. So it's a two-way street. Now, this isn't a full defense of Monti Ossenfort. He's had his flaws, of course, and this is going to be a make or break year for him. So it's going to be fascinating. Donnie Druin, Cardinals on SI, joining me. The joint practice was star-studded. It was a tale of two halves, a 2-minute drill, and everything else. We will unpack that more as we go into a preseason game tonight. That is a formality for most starters. Most of these guys are guys trying to make the roster or promote themselves for other squads, not knocking it, but it's less of a storyline for the 1 to 53. So we'll focus on the joint practice again next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Home Chef. Life gets busy, and figuring out what's for dinner every night can quickly become another thing on the to-do list. And Home Chef takes the stress out of the mealtime by delivering fresh ingredients and easy-to-follow recipes right to your door. Whether you're looking to eat healthier, save money on takeout, or simply spend less time grocery shopping and meal planning, Home Chef makes cooking at home simple, convenient, and enjoyable. Home Chef offers more than 30 meal options every week, including calorie-conscious and GLP-1 friendly meals. So there's something for every schedule and lifestyle, and people really love it. Home Chef is rated #1 by users and of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. People say growing up is realizing that you have to decide what you want to eat 3 times a day. Home Chef allows you to do it a little bit more easily. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/LockedOnNFL. That's homechef.com/LockedOnNFL for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/LockedOnNFL. Must be an active subscriber to get the free dessert. So it was a tale of the first hour and a half and the second half an hour for the joint practice. The Cardinals, for those that weren't live tweeting or quote tweeting like Donnie and I were, the Cardinals defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Jacoby Brissett threw multiple interceptions, and it's like, oh no, the first time they see any sort of semblance of breathing people in a real intense matchup that's not a preseason game, it's not an Arizona Cardinal uniform. It's like, oh no, this is what this team's going to turn into. And then everything shifted. The 2-minute drill, the Cardinals ended up taking the lead and having really good defensive plays, a couple interceptions late. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. had the catch of the day. If you haven't seen that clip, just Google Marvin Harrison Jr. catch Green Bay Packers. And it's like, okay, that's a reminder that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a wizard. He is a wizard around the sidelines and in pay dirt. Donnie, this is also just a practice, okay? And of course, the Cardinals are, reign supreme when the games don't matter. But tell me what your biggest takeaways were from the joint practice from a couple days ago.
Yeah, I think you kind of put it perfectly, that tale of two halves, because that joint practice in Green Bay, didn't go or start at least anywhere according to the plan for Arizona. Like they by all accounts looked sluggish. The Green Bay Packers definitely looked like they were a couple notches above, and they very much looked like the Super Bowl contender everybody hopes that they'll be in Green Bay this year. But then the tide kind of turned. Tide kind of turned, and like I think that was good to see for a Cardinals fan because that was effectively Arizona's like last kind of like tune-up before the regular season. Like you said, starters aren't going to be playing tonight in Green Bay. They're going to have that week off, and then they're going to be preparing for the Los Angeles Chargers in Week 1. With that being said, did Jacoby Brissett look great to start practice? No, not at all. Did the offense or defense look great? No. Jordan Love was on fire by all accounts. He was threading the needle. He looked like the top 10 quarterback that he is. But to really like, and I don't want to make too much of a big deal out of this because like it is joint practice. It is a practice. The lights aren't exactly bright, but it is a competitive environment against like one of the NFL's better teams. To pull yourself back up by the bootstraps and kind of like turn things around, to completely shut the Green Bay Packers down towards the end of the practice and really ended on a high note. Like I think that was a big confidence boost for everybody in the locker room. And the numerous Packers reporters on site tweeting out that the Cardinals were dominating Green Bay to end the practice. I never would have thought I would have saw the day, at least in 2026, where the Cardinals and dominate and Green Bay Packers were all in the same sentence in that order.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's because I remember, in 2023 and 2024, before the wheels fell off in 2025, the Cardinals were definitely a bend, don't break defense. Like I remember giving up long sustained drives that resulted in field goals a lot. They were good defensively around the red zone. And obviously last year was not the case, but that's kind of a calling card for Nick Rawls in some respects. Hopefully they can double down on that. But yeah, like it's a mindset thing. If you've got an offense that you trust, that works, it changes the game completely in a 2-minute drill. It's like that you've got your gotta have it plays that you don't call all game. You're like, all right, here we go. Here's the dessert that nobody's seen yet. And that's something like, Donnie, I can't remember the last time I was this excited to see an offense. Like, I don't care if it's Jacoby Brissett. Like, all I've said is Jacoby Brissett's the best option they've got. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but I'm so excited. Where's the weakness outside of the right side of the offensive line? Like, where's the weakness in this offense? If Marv emerges like he saw, that was Marv for me in the joint practice. I talked about it last week. I talked about it leading up to the actual practice day. Marv is the most important thing I want to see because he's the X factor. This entire team, he's the guy in 2026 that can help elevate them to a level higher than where they are now or where they're projected. And like, I mean, dude's making catch, like that's a confidence thing, man. Like that's, he may be a little bit more slow-mo than people thought, but he gets to his spots and his catch radius is getting wider and wider by the day. So, I mean, when you see Marv like this, and you've seen him in camp all year, let's pivot to this quickly. Do you see that jump? Like he put on the muscles last offseason, everything pretty much else stayed the same. And then now you're starting to see a different variant, a different version of him, at least from, bird's eye view that I'm seeing.
So I am hesitant to say all of those things from my perspective because I was saying this last offseason. Yeah. I watched Marvin Harrison Jr. in camp and I said, okay, year 2, I did like putting on the muscle, whatever. That was so whatever to me. But I'm like, he looks motivated. He looks polished. Like he looks like he wants to take that coveted second year leap that a lot of guys do. And it just didn't happen. The mental lapses kind of plagued him. Obviously, Drew Petzing didn't do him any favors. Right. So like I'm not gonna quite like co-sign on that just yet. But what I will tell you, if there's anybody who can maximize Marvin Harrison Jr. and put him in the best positions to succeed, it is going to be Michael Flohr. Yeah. I think this offense is extremely receiver friendly. I think it's extremely quarterback friendly. When you see all 4 quarterbacks operate with very good levels of success, whether it be training camp, preseason, whatever it might be, and you're consistently getting first, second, and third team receivers open. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. It's practically the entire room, which is why we're having such difficult conversations whenever it comes to the receiver depth chart. Like that's a good problem to have, but that's also a big sign that 1, the offense is working. Like the installation is being receptive in terms of feedback, and 2, like it's a very friendly offense it works. And I think that's very good news for Marvin Harrison Jr. because Marv, for the first couple of years of his career, and I'm not throwing super shade at Drew Petzing, but like Michael Flohr looks to be different gravy than Drew Petzing. Like it's just like there's a little bit more on the menu whenever it comes to a Michael Flohr offense as opposed to Drew Petzing. And I think we're really going to see what Marvin Harrison Jr. is this year, because like it's really going to come down to, hey, like, can Marv make the plays? He's shown that he can make the plays previously, but there's always been this, there's always been that holding him back. With Michael Flohr, like that's not going to be a thing anymore. Michael Flohr is going to scheme Marvin Harrison Jr. open. Marvin Harrison Jr. can get open. That's never been the problem. The problem with Marv has been the turning the head before the ball hits his hands and the numerous drops that like fall for that. So, and you know what? Like there's going to be a couple times where Marv drops another ball. That's the life of an NFL receiver, right? He's not going to catch every single thing thrown his way. He's not Larry Fitzgerald. Nobody's Larry Fitzgerald or Jerry Rice or Chris Carter, or whoever you name. I think Marv is set up to have a very, very good year. I'm very excited to watch Marvin Harrison Jr. I know the talent is there. I know the coaching is there. I really, really want to see it on a consistent basis before I get my hopes up again, like they were last time.
That's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, it's. I think that, and that's fair. And if he has the breakout, I'd rather him have the breakout than Michael Wilson. Like if there is a breakout, because the ceiling is just exponentially higher. Like Michael Wilson is going to be the engine. Like it's going to be the true Puka Devontae Adams thing. But if you can get, like, Nathaniel Hackett made Devontae Adams in 2021. That was the offense. And I keep going back to that. I know it was 6 years ago, but it's not like Nathaniel Hackett's a running back and he's 7 years older. It's the same thing. And he was up with the LaFleur brother. Like Matt Schaub threw to Andre Johnson for years. They know how to make a wide receiver one. And I think it's time for him, for his breakout. Yeah. And talking about the offense, and we'll go to cut day here in a minute. This is an offense that's going to make other defenses react, as opposed to the Cardinals having to react to opposing defenses. The Cardinals organization is reactionary. They're not proactive. They're reactionary. Oh, something like this happens. Oh, we've got to keep up. Or something like this. Oh, we've got to adjust now, instead of doing it and forcing other entities to adjust. And you're hoping that the offense is going to be able to be so seamless and so deep with all the skill position players they have that opposing defenses are going to be on their heels, and the Cardinals offense is going to be that proactive side. And we just haven't seen it. It's been very reactionary. So it'll be fascinating to see who's going to make the team, though. Is number 9 going to make the team? We'll discuss it next.
Matt Derry here from the Locked On Lions podcast. Life insurance is one of those things you don't really think about until you have a reason to. For me, it really hit home when my father passed away over 20 years ago. You start thinking less about yourself and more about the people who depend on you, and making sure they're taken care of no matter what. That's why I like Ethos. They make getting life insurance simple. It's 100% online, no doctor visits, no needles, none of that. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in just a few minutes, and even get same-day coverage. And honestly, that's huge, because life gets busy. You can get up to $3 million in coverage, and some plans are as low as just $30 a month. It's just one of those things that gives you peace of mind knowing your family is protected. Take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Applications may vary. Rates may vary.
Is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. There are certain flavors that instantly feel like summer, and for a lot of people, those classic red, white, and blue freezer pops are right at the top of the list. Sweet cherry, lime, blue, raspberry. It's one of those nostalgic summer flavors everybody recognizes. Now, 5 Hour Energy is bringing that flavor combination into the new Firework Freeze 5 Hour Energy shot, blending sweet cherry, zesty lime, and electric blue raspberry into one refreshing shot, inspired by those iconic summer freezer pops. I remember playing, rec league basketball and baseball at VNSO in LA. And I remember after practice, there'd be the ice cream truck and there'd be these red, white, and blue pops. I remember them like it was yesterday, and 5 Hour Energy is bringing it back. Ignite your taste buds with the flavor of the summer. Get a free Firework Freezer 5 Hour Energy shot today. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. All right, Donnie. Big night for a lot of players. Everybody who is playing for a reason, whether it be to make this roster, which is, I would assume, 50 or 51 decided at this point. Like, I don't know what other roster spots, and I'll lead on you for that. This is a very important night for many people, and we don't minimize that fact, even though it doesn't mean a whole lot for the grand scheme of weeks 1 through 18 for the Cardinals in 2026. Give me, because you did your projected 53-man roster on SportsIllustrated.com. Give me a couple names that you think that people know that you think may not make this roster.
I think the biggest one that pops to mind is BJ Ojulari.
Yeah.
And it's such a travesty because boy, did BJ Ojulari look good during his rookie season. And that knee injury that suffered in training camp, like truly derailed things. Took him about a year and a half to get back. Didn't really see a whole lot of promising things last year. And when you have a veteran guy like that playing deep in preseason, and I mean like final drive into the like all of these preseason games, that's not a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Jamil said it perfectly a couple weeks ago on the squad show after we reacted to, I think it was maybe the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
And we were talking about BJ, and I'm like, maybe they just want to see him get some run. And Jamil's like, I know that conversation. That's not a good one you want to have with the coaching staff, where it's like, hey, we want to see you get some snaps in the preseason. That's not a good sign for BJ Ojulari. I think Eku Leota has really kind of like taken a step up in training camp. People seem to love Cam Robertson, the other outside edge rusher as well. I'm a bit more bullish on Leota making the team as opposed to Robertson, but I think obviously with the release of Trey Benson, the Cardinals have no problem severing ties with former draft picks now with Monti Ossenfort entering his fourth year. And that's crazy to say because like that edge rush room outside of Josh Sweat is not impressive. It's not like there's these other big grand options available for the Cardinals who can get after the passer. Zaven Collins is what he is. Baron Browning's only like a rotational pass rush guy. Jordan Birch, all eyes are on him to see if he can make a year or two leap. Other than that, like you really have to just not impress. And that's kind of what BJ Ojulari's done this preseason training camp, is just really not impressed. So like, he's a big name I'm watching. Trey Benson was going to be my other pick, but obviously like we all saw what happened with him. I'm curious to see what happens with James Conner. I don't know if his absence in practice is a, hey, we want to keep you fresh for the regular season kind of thing, or I don't know if the Cardinals want to oblige any potential wishes to maybe finish out his career somewhere else. I don't think that's the case, but I think if a veteran guy like James Conner asks, hey, you signed two other running backs, Bam Knight is kind of penciled in as another running back to make the final roster as well. I want to go somewhere where either I can A, get more playing time, or B, make a Super Bowl push. I think the Cardinals would oblige. I think he has earned that right. Absolutely. Is that the case? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out here in a couple of days. It's tough because it feels like majority of the roster spots were kind of like already set. Maybe the other big name that might slip out maybe is Max Melton in the cornerback room, but I just can't see the Cardinals kind of like foregoing a second round pick, at least a recent one, who was benched at the end of last year. But the act between like the cornerback room, like the running back room, like how many defensive linemen do you keep? How many offensive linemen do you run with? Because you're essentially keeping the quarterback on the active roster, barring a Gardner Minshew trade here in the next 24 hours. But there's a lot of really tough decisions that the Cardinals are going to have to make.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The Max Melton thing, I think you're right. There's an outside shot of that. But, it's going to be, we're going to know the depth chart for the secondary for the future after this season. Like, this is kind of in pencil. This isn't like Will Johnson, you'd hope, is going to be that CB1, Denzel Burke, Max Melton, unsure. All of it's unsure. Garrett Williams inside. They're mostly going to play him inside, they said this year. Unsure. Now, the James Conner thing is fascinating. Okay. So I've championed James Conner ever since he signed. He was one of the best, if not the best, offseason signing by Steve Keim. He was, if not the best, okay? Because the offense ran through him. He was the most important person on the offense. Even when DeAndre Hopkins was here, he was the most important person on the offense because Cliff Kingsbury was one-dimensional. He's like, oh, that works. Let's do that 300 times a game and not be creative at all. So it was that, okay? Now, would you rather have a 31-year-old James Conner, 25-year-old Bam Knight who didn't dress for the third preseason game? It's like, this dude, like, Bam Knight is not Michael Carter. Bam Knight was Michael Carter, where it's like, oh, week 13, week 14, let's bring him in. They'll finish up the slop of the rest of the season. Bam Knight is an impactful back who Michael LaFleur had when he was a baby with the Jets. So he already has that familiarity there. My biggest thing with James Conner, I'm going long-winded on this, I apologize. But my biggest thing with James Conner is the restructuring of the contract, where he had no guaranteed money going into this season. And now he does, That's a Michael Bidwell. Thank you. Go somewhere else. Here's a little cheese for your trouble. That's for me. And it's what, 1.5 or something? It's not much, but it's like, that's my biggest thing. When they restructured and made money guaranteed, the only thing that guaranteed was that he's getting that money. That's it. Not that he's going to be an Arizona Cardinal in 2026. At this point, with the locker room stuff, it's like that's what everybody pushes back. He's a great locker room guy. I don't need locker room guys anymore. I need wins. Like, they've got plenty of locker room guys. They don't need James Conner anymore. Like, I want him to retire a Cardinal. And they've already made the decision that that's most likely not going to happen with bringing in Tyler Algier and drafting Jeremiah Love. So I think the writing's on the wall here. It's just a matter of when. You're not bringing 4 backs. You're not running 4 backs next year.
You might. For this upcoming year, I think there's a good possibility you can run 4 running backs because like they're going to run the ball a lot, and like the Cardinals of all teams know, like it takes one injury in that room to really derail things. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but like depth is never like a bad thing to have at that position.
4 is a lot.
I think it is. 4 is a lot. Especially like I said earlier, like 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, like it's like there's going to have to be a sacrificial lamb somewhere else on the final 53 depth chart. I think what I'm getting at is like Bam Knight, after Joey Blunt went down, the Cardinals lost their top special teamer. They needed another capable special teams person. I think when you look across different positions, Amir Smith-Marset can fill that special teams role. Jalen Brooks can fill that special teams role, or you can keep a Bam Knight on your roster. 1, you know what you're getting out of him. 2, you know you're going to ideally run the ball a lot, 30-35 times a game if Mike LaFleur actually had his way. It's like he would be there, 1, to supplement at any time of the year in case injuries kind of really got ugly again, and B, to effectively like play special teams. That would effectively make the difference for Bam Knight being on the roster as an RB4 as compared to an RB3. But this entire conversation centers around, do the Cardinals want to keep James Conner? What is actually going on with James Conner? Because Conner had the foot ankle injury last year in week 3, never returned. He's practiced this year. He's done individual drills, but he hasn't taken a single rep in team activities. And like I said earlier, I don't know if that's the Cardinals being cautious with him and wanting to keep him in a bubble wrap like they did with Josh Sweat for the regular season, or I don't know if that's the Cardinals also preserving him, but maybe for another team.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, we're going to find out a lot on Sunday. I don't think they're going to be any surprise. Oh, one last thing. Devin Duvernay, like we haven't heard about him at all because, he's a vet. He's a return specialist. Is he going to be the return guy?
Yes.
He's going to be the return guy. So they use him. Like there were a couple graphics that I saw where he's grouped into wide receiver. I'm like, he's not like he's a wide receiver, but he's there to return kicks. He's there to return punts. So okay.
He'll be a return man, and like he's taking up a spot in the wide receiver depth chart for sure. And I also think like Reggie Virgil, the 5th round pick. I know there's like chatter about some 5th round picks potentially not making a team. I think he looked good in preseason. I think he has a spot stamp. So like really the decision for the Cardinals in that room is, do we want to keep 6? And if we keep a 6 guy, how valuable of a special teamer can they be?
Yeah, that's true. All right, Donnie, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, SI.com/NFL/Cardinals, and then at Twitter at Donnie Druin.
Alex Nancy, Locked On Cardinals. Cardinal squad. So I go live. I'm going live at halftime. I'm not waiting till the end of the game. Going live at halftime for 15 minutes tonight, and then we'll do the full hour Cardinal squad show after. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you then.